1969 Hoover 1346 Mark 1 is done. Although it's a little bit dusty because it's been sat at the side for a while, it is ready to show you how she works now, and I'll explain just how much safer this thing really is now. Yes, hello my vacuum cleaner chums, how are you today? Yes, this lovely little thing is all done. One of the first of the plastic juniors. Notable, apparently, I have checked this, by the lack of height adjustment and the large sticky outy roundel. Obviously that is a 3D before 3D was a buzzword for everything. As you can tell from me removing the belt cover, it is not faded at all. There's a couple of little scuffs here and there, but you know, as I look at it from here, it looks fine. You have to get so close to it, you're never going to get much better than this. We remove the cable. I did notice when I was doing this that the cable was starting to get a really pronounced bend in the cable, so I actually swapped the ends over, which then puts the bends in a new place and hopefully will just prolong the life of this original brown cable, which is always something that you might want to look at doing, otherwise it just starts to crack, and that's when you start getting the little bits of tape around, and it's all downhill from there. And the bag hasn't been touched because this does belong to a collector, and he has washed the bag and it's lovely. It even came, if you remember, with this exact same SIBO bag in it that we only used for the before video, so I put it back in ready for the after. Certainly something that you need to do if you run these for fun. No one's going to run them daily apart from a few select people, but yeah, put a HEPA flow in it. It saves your outer bag getting clogged up with dust. And that's about it for the top side. Going to take the bottom cover off and I'll show you what I've done to make this a lot safer. When I first took this off, I was greeted with the complete lack of the terminal block that these normally have, and I'm here actually picking off bits of this as well. They obviously had a terminal block in them, as all Hoover Juniors do. You've seen it enough on my channel before. It was missing, and the mains cable was attached. It had its suppressor back then. It was attached to the main wire by just being twisted together and a bit of tape wrapped around, which obviously wasn't fantastic. Now, I'm not fussed about the fact that the terminal block is missing. In fact, when you take the suppressor out, you're then left with literally connecting the live to the switch and the neutral straight to that carbon brush. So you don't need it at all. So what I've done is I've soldered and heat shrunk the wires and then put quite a lot of hot glue down in the bid to stop them from vibrating when the machine's on and breaking the solder connection. So you can see there is the cable from the switch down to the field coil on the motor, and I think that's fairly satisfactory. You know, it's as good as I'm going to get, because the problem is, you see, this whole side of the motor is smashed away, so the terminal block will never fit anyway. But it's just not worth scrapping this casing because they aren't terribly common anymore. And while we're under here, all the metal polished up nicely, the wheels haven't seen much use at all. I painted the brush roll. If I turn it the way, that means the belt won't come off. And it's basically, I mean, there's a little bit of paint missing on the handle. These are made of a slightly different metal, I think, because I've seen this before where everything else is mint and that isn't. But because this is a sort of minky off-white paint, and again, at a glance, you can't tell, I've just left it alone and polished up what is there. So I'm going to get this back on and we're going to turn it on and see what it sounds like. Now for those of you with long enough memories to remember the before video, it didn't sound too bad. It was very dry, which is a common one on these machines. Obviously they were built to, be tickled by Hoover. Occasionally you could buy the service plan, you could walk into your high street with it and get it looked at. But by the time they come onto my channel, they've been sort of 50 years without being looked at. This one's from 1969. So, 30, 40, 50 years without being touched. They need a drop of oil. The only replacement part that this machine has had are the two brush roll bearings on either side of the brush roll, because one was dry and baggy and one was broken. They pull apart when they rust into the end caps. Even the belt that was on this was pretty much new. So all this has had is two new brush roll bearings, and if I recline the handle, you can see it works really well, although it doesn't quite like this rug, and I'm not too surprised because it's quite a stiff rug. If we recline it back and I push the wheels back to position 2, let's just see if that's any better. Worse, because position 2 lifted up off the carpet. This rug isn't going to be the best thing to demonstrate it, so what I shall do is put my deep pile test carpet down, leave it in position 2, and hopefully loves it so much more, just because it's a bit deeper. But the one thing that this carpet isn't very good for is to show the agitation. So, with my test carpet that is not stuck down in the middle, and a couple of grains of rice, we shall see if on position 1 it bounces. It does, although and these plastic juniors do seem to suffer from this. It doesn't like picking up every last bit. If you remember from the orange one that we looked at last year, when I stupidly threw down half a packet of couscous and then really struggled to get it back up, they just lack that little bit of power that the later ones have to really pull the heavy rice particles up into the bag. But obviously you don't really ever suck up rice unless you drop it. And you probably wouldn't do it with one of these anyway, so it's a little bit of a moot point. I just wanted to show it bouncing. So, there we go, really. So it's been polished, came up quite shiny. It's had a coat of wax and it's been buffed off nicely. So it is all shiny in person. It's a little bit difficult to show you on camera. There we go, there's a reflection of my picture on the back wall. Ooh. And another vintage old Junior is back to as close to out of the box as you can get one of these without going to town on, wet sanding the plastic and then buffing it back up, which is something that's way above my head and station, and I would be too scared to ruin it. The last thing to note is, yes, the owner is a man of taste and has a beautiful MK plug on this Junior, which is mint, polished up very, very nicely, and really suits, although it's a later one because it has shielded pins, but it's not a bad thing. So there we go, folks. The 1969 Hoover Junior 1346 Mark 1 is done, ready to be boxed back up and go home to its owner to enjoy. And as always, thank you very much for watching this video. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing, although it is all vacuum cleaners, so I totally understand. If you don't want to, please comment with what you like or what you don't like. And if you've ever had one of these, please comment as well. I'd love to hear your stories. And I shall see you soon. Bye bye.